Hello tarot readers, I'm going to do a small review on the Deviant Moon Tarot. I've had this deck for a while, but I've only just opened it today for the first time. This deck's by Patrick Valenza, and mine's a US Games edition, and it's a borderless deck. The first thing, I shuffled them, and the first thing about this deck is it's a US Games and the quality is very, very good. I just love the lamination on US Games deck, and to be honest, they've never let me down. I've never ever had a problem with a US Games deck of tarot cards so far. So, and anyone who knows me knows I love borderless decks, so this is kind of like the perfect combination. Now this deck is quite longer than the usual deck. It just seems to be longer, which is great for me because I'm into big decks. And the backs of these cards are amazing. Look at them backs. We've got like the whole cycle of the moon. So we've got all the cycles of the moon, and it's reversible. So we're off to a good start with this deck. And then we get to the cards. Now, like I said, I've shuffled them so that I won't be showing you in order. And they're really unusual cards. Now, I don't know nothing about this deck. I did have a quick look on the website of Patrick Valenza. I did have a quick look, and it seems like they're surreal tarot cards. And they're based, he's kind of got the background from New York, and they're based on cemeteries and asylum, you know, psychiatric wards, stuff like that. Really kind of what would normally be scary. Now, there's no actual people on these cards as people. They're kind of moon-faced people, very strange and surreal. Not something I would normally like. Now, you can see no borders, so the colouring is brilliant on these cards. We've got the full moon on this King of Cups. Beautiful, beautiful clothing going on there with the King of Cups. And all these cards are like that. Queen of Cups. We have this different phase of the moon. Beautiful Queen of Cups. The artwork is amazingly done. Now, I'm not normally into surreal type decks. That's not kind of my style. The Five of Coins. This whole background, you know, the moon casts shadows, and this deck is obviously about the moon and the reflection of the moon and the shadows the moon kind of throws. And I think it's supposed to go into your nightmares and your darker subconscious. That's the Eight of Wands. Wow. The Seven of Wands. You see all these faces are like different phases of the moon. I wasn't sure. I mean, I've had this deck for months and not opened it. Months and months and not opened it. I mean, I love the pentagram. Very much like the one I always wear. You got these chimneys in the background. There's nothing beautiful about this deck in the sense, you know, oh, how beautiful that nature. No, it's all chimneys and background and a spanner. But then we just have this moon that does overtake the deck, and it's quite rightly called the Deviant Moon deck, and it makes it somewhat special. I'm sure this is one of those decks where you're going to rather hate it and love it, hate it or love it, and I'm kind of loving this. I really am. I'm loving this skeleton in the Two of Cups. Even though that's a skeleton, even though it's a skeleton and the moon, we've still got that feeling of love there. It doesn't really go very far from the Rider-Waite traditions. You can tell every card what it is. The Ace of Cups with these beautiful wings. Wow. I'm really shocked by how beautiful these surreal cards are. The Seven of Cups. I believe these were, you know, 2008 maybe, and there was another edition done in 2014. The Ten of Swords, as horrific as we would expect the Ten of Swords to be. Eight of Swords. Wow. Wow, look at that star car. See, I mean, the star car has got stars in there. You can tell it's a star car. So Patrick has kind of kept in with what we know of tarot, you know, more traditional type, but at the same time he's put that spin on it that's so different. So different. From the little bit I read about this deck was that he started this deck when he was very, very young boy. I think he was 13, 15 years of age. And then he's just continued to do them over his lifetime. And then apparently he spent a good few years really getting into the strength card, really getting into finishing the deck. And I think he's done an amazing job to bring a totally different spin, the Lovers card. And as you can see, I mean, we've got this weird as hell Lovers card. I mean, that is just so weird. But it works because we've got this full moon beaming on them, and we've got this snake in the background that reminds us that this is a card of temptations. This is a card of the Lovers card. This is that card of lovers, temptations, and choices. The Magician. A brilliant interpretation of the Magician. He's got his hands everywhere, you know, his hands is in every pot, which is what a magician normally is doing. He's normally got his, you know, he's normally got his foot in every pot, his hand in every pot. It's kind of all over the place. Brilliant, brilliantly done, fantastic. And we've got all the elements there. So we've got the wand there, we've got the cup there. Wow, this World card. You know, it's kind of like, you know, like you're tripping. You're looking at this guy and you're thinking, am I tripping here? There's something weird's going on with this Judgment card. What the hell's going on? But taking a good look, it makes so much for a beautiful deck. It really does make for a beautiful deck. Look at that. I mean, that's the Judgment card just as we know it, but so different. How can something be so familiar and yet so unusual at the same time and so different? The Sun card. Beautiful. You know, we've got kind of, it's more like a Marseilles type Sun card. We haven't got the horse. Instead, we've got the two people dancing. I'm sure so many people do not like this deck, but I'm so sure that there's way more people that love this deck. Amazing. The Four of Cups, the Five of Cups. I mean, like I said, I am totally obsessed with the moon anyway. So to see a deck where the moon's got such massive influence of every card, brilliant. I don't know if you've seen my top decks, my top worst decks to work with, and most of those worst decks to work with were in fact surreal decks, and decks that have got this kind of fantasy weird thing going on. I'm not connected to surreal normally. It's just not my thing. I don't normally know what to do with something that's out of the, you know, so out of the box, so surreal. But this deck is, it's definitely different. It's a totally different ball game. The Seven of Swords. Yeah, definitely different. Different than any other surreal deck I've ever used before. And the Moon card, you know, where all these people seem to be like puppets to the moon, which is very, very fitting for such an amazing deck. So even if you don't like surreal decks, you may really get on with this one because it's beautiful, just beautiful. Definitely for a collection. Maybe not so much for learning, but then again, maybe it's a really good study deck because, you know, you can kind of see that's the Four of Cups, so you can see that's the High Priestess. You're not going too off track. But whether you get this deck for studying with, or you just simply get this deck because the Ace of Coins, because you want it in your collection, I highly recommend it, and I can't wait to do a reading with this deck. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a pick a card, and if you want to pop over to my video of pick a card, and I'll do a pick a card with this deck.